And we are live. You already know who it is. My name is Mike Kyle, aka the Fantasy Vulture. I have over a decade worth of fantasy football experience, and I've continuously competed for fantasy championships over the course of the past 6 seasons. Let's make it 7 in 2020. But enough of me. I'm here for you. On today's episode of the FB Show, we are still kind of talking about me because this is going to be my Dynasty rookie draft recap. We're going to go through some of the things that happened because it was chaotic, and even more chaotic was after the draft because the amount of moves that were made within the last 3 hours have been utterly insane. But before we get started with all the chaos, a few quick things from you. First off, smash that subscribe button. Power running back style like Derrick Henry up the middle so you never miss a video from me. We're going pretty much almost every single day all the way up until through December, January, through the end of the NFL season. Fantasy football is here, baby. I don't know if you realize it, but I've been in the zone. This is my favorite time of the year. I absolutely love draft season. Like, for me, there's draft season and then there's March Madness, and nothing else matters outside of August and March, which I love because they are on the opposite side of the calendar. And also, if you could hit that like button down below, like an open receiver downfield, Patrick Mahomes style, because it will help out the channel tremendously. Let's just go. Let's go. Before we do, I don't know what just happened. That's fun. My computer just glitched. It's important to, again, I want to just kind of reiterate what the game plan was going into this draft. The big thing was Henry Ruggs. Henry Ruggs, we should go dial it back a little bit. Come on, Mike, tell the story. Lay out the situation. I had 4 picks this draft. I had the 108, the 201, 203, and the 205. And the players I was targeting at each position were Henry Ruggs, Zack Moss, Antonio Gibson, Denzel Mims. I knew the order, I didn't know the order. The only thing I knew was that I wanted Henry Ruggs in the first round. Like, he was my guy. He's been my baby boy all off season. So that was like the game plan really revolved around Henry Ruggs in the first round. But let's just make this jump over here. And I'm actually going to kind of do some fun edits here because I did record the draft. And we're just going to kind of make these cuts as to what happened here. So the first few picks went pretty standard. It went exactly how I expected. I knew Clyde was going 1, JT 2, JK 3, CD 4, Swift 5. I knew that was going to happen. I had a really good feeling about it. Actually, in my notes back in May 12th, or May 6th rather, I did a mock draft. Where was this? I'm looking at this right now. May the 12th, I did a mock draft and I had the first 5 picks correct. Pick 6 is where things really fucked up. Mark and Ian are mulling over the decision. They're muted. And the pick is in.
I don't get the computer. I can't draft dick on here.
Ian, what do you think about Clevenger to the Padres? You think it's going to happen?
I don't know who we get.
Mackenzie Gore?
Tatis, yeah. Mackenzie, Kenzie. Let's give up 6.
Ian!
Or
Ian!
what?
Fuck you! I'm disgusted. I'm fucking sick. I'm gonna throw up. What was my face? Priceless. Henry Ruggs went at 6. It was a pick that I did not expect to happen whatsoever. And the reason why I didn't expect it to happen is because Mark, who owns this pick, he told me he doesn't like Henry Ruggs. But just days before the draft, Mark added a co-owner to his team, and that co-owner is the one that made that Ruggs selection. So that was a curveball that I didn't even anticipate, and I didn't think to double back and correct course and even really plan for that to happen. Instead, I had Jerry Jeudy going there, and Mark was also able to snag Jerry Jeudy at 110. I knew Akers was going to go at 1-7 because J-Paw desperately needed a running back. What Fig Rarmander decided to do, I knew he was a wild card, so him going Burrow didn't shock me. And that was kind of that was really the big thing. Like, this 9-10 pick of Rarmander and Mark just trying to decide what they were going to do. Like, I had it right. I think that's the big thing. I had it right. There were 10 picks out. There are 10 picks in the first round, 9 excluding myself, and I know what I want to do. But in a perfect world, let's just see how this goes. So I had 5 picks right. I had 6 with Akers. I knew Mark was gonna go like Jerry Jeudy. I just didn't know it'd be at 10 and not 6. So you could say I got like a half point there. So I got 7.5, and then my game plan obviously fell to pieces once Ruggs went off the board. Justin Jefferson was a player that I liked a lot. He was my number 1 receiver coming into the draft. But then leaving the draft and really just going through the rookie process, I just fell in love with Henry Ruggs entirely. So then we get on the clock at 111, and at 2:01, excuse me, at 2:01, and 2:02 Ewags. Evan is my best friend. We have very, very similar fantasy football philosophies. I knew he needed a running back. I just didn't know which one he was going to take, and that's where I got too cute. He had Darius Geis this offseason, actually just, throughout the past year, and he released Geis this offseason because Darius Geis no longer plays in the NFL, so he's just taking up a roster space. And was he going to go Antonio Gibson? Was he going to go Zack Moss? Was he going to go Keshawn Vaughn? I didn't know, and I knew he was playing it close to the vest. Ultimately, I think I got too cute, and I took Antonio Gibson at 2:01. Was it too early? Probably. But the mindset that I was really shifting towards this draft was get your guy. Whether it was Ruggs or Gibson, I just love these players so much, and I wanted to have them on my team because I understand that in Dynasty, you only really get one shot in these rookie drafts to get your guy unless you want to pay a very extreme trade cost in order to bring them on your squad. So Antonio Gibson got my guy, love him, but I do miss out on Zack Moss.
And Cookta now? Good lord. That house sucks.
Dude, what about this? Look at this though.
And I have to go Keshawn Vaughn. Keshawn Vaughn is a guy that I said in my preview, I'm not excited about him. But when he was the only potential starter available, then I felt like I had to take him. A.J. Dillon, I have Aaron Jones and I have Jamal Williams. I didn't want to add a third Packer to that, and Keshawn Vaughn does have the opportunity in the next year to make an impact. It just probably won't be this season. That's what really bummed me out because I do need running backs right now. So those were my picks. So we had 1, 2, 3, and then I had 205. Sorry, at 205, Denzel Mims. I said this in the preview with his current hamstring injury. His ADP has been falling, so I knew for a fact I'd be able to get him at that 205 spot. And so really the only thing that I messed up was I took Antonio Gibson over Zack Moss first, and it really was just me trying to figure out which way Evan was going to go at 2-2. He had history with the Washington backfield, and I felt like the Antonio Gibson hype just got to a point where Gibson could have gone at any point in this draft. And I just had to take him when I could, because if he is, I talked about this a little bit too, if he is designated as a wide receiver and a running back, that's just incredible player flexibility that not every player has. Like, I could start him not just in one position, but in 2. And that would be such a critical just fantasy edge, getting a cheat code 2 players in 1. So I went with Gibson, lost out on Moss, and then Keshawn Vaughn just kind of as the leftover. And that was the thing that I knew. I knew there were more wide receivers than running back, so I had to go running back with 2 of my first 3 picks. So that wasn't shocking at all. It was just a disappointment that I missed out on Zack Moss, because Zack Moss for me was my number 13. I think he was my number 13 running back 13th player overall. I'm pulling up my rookie rankings right now. Let's pull everything up, just so I have these on context on hand to discuss. So those were my 4 picks. Those were the picks that I had after I traded up specifically to get Henry Ruggs. Turns out I didn't get him. Yo, listen. Like, deadass, I will trade you my 2021 first and Justin Jefferson for Henry Ruggs right now. But I made a few trades, and what I decided to trade, I went all in on Henry Ruggs so much, I talked myself into it, and I have the type of personality to where once I talk myself into something, I am not talking myself out. So pretty much on the spot, after I took Justin Jefferson, I offered Mark, I said, Justin Jefferson and my next year first round pick. So 2021 first and Justin Jefferson for Henry Ruggs. deal went through pretty much automatically. I realized in the moment it was a tilt trade, but when I talked myself into Henry Ruggs and the talent that he could be, especially after the fact that I traded Tyreek Hill last season, it felt like the right move to make. I just love him so much, and I believe in the talent. Like he's my number one wide receiver. Like, that's the thing, right? And it's not even that, like, oh, he's your number one wide receiver. No. He finished 1 point shy of being a perfect prospect for me. The only thing that he doesn't have is the opportunity, quote unquote. And even then, I have met a 4.5 out of 5 in his likelihood of being the number one option in Las Vegas. So the draft is going on, and one of the things that I'm really keeping note of are the tight ends, right? You're looking at some of the tight ends that are going. And just some of the tight ends on this page right here. Hayden Hurst, Tyler Higbee, Gronk, Irv Smith Jr., Ian Thomas, Jonnu Smith, Harrison Bryant. Once Ian Thomas went, and I knew like there were guys that I liked here, Jonnu Smith being the guy that I was really interested in. My tight end at the time is I have Mark Andrews and Jack Doyle. But I knew that the tier gap between those two was almost insurmountable to where, yes, you could probably start Doyle week in and week out, but if Andrews were to go down for any significant time, trying to replace that is almost impossible. So I needed to kind of up my tight end position.
Does anyone want this pick before we make a pick?
Can I get it as part of the Ruggs deal?
20, 25, 5th. Wow.
Huh?
I didn't really realize that.
No one wants it.
Ian. Can I get that as part of the Ruggs deal?
No. Trade's final. Good fuck.
Isn't that deal done?
I mean, you know.
You can have it for a 4th next year, Mike, if you want.
No.
Deal.
Done. Take it.
Jonnu Smith. And at 5'1", Mark asked, I think it was actually Ian, the co-owner, asked, hey, like, who wants this pick? And I'm like, I'll take it. And we just agreed, I'll take 5'1" this year for my 4th round pick next year. So it was one of those things where the way that I see this draft in particular is this is probably the deepest rookie draft that we'll have. And the reason for that is because our roster sizes are 25. This is a new start. This is basically a new Dynasty startup. Like, this is our first rookie draft. We obviously had the startup draft last year, and so what's going to happen is, like, these early years are going to be the years where the rosters itself, like, the waiver wire is going to have a lot of talent left over. And so it's up to us now to then funnel that talent back into our rosters and really clear out the waiver wire. So seeing Jonnu Smith still on the board here in the 5th round, I had to take him, even if that meant giving up a 4th round pick next season, because I felt the value of Jonnu Smith, especially for my team, where I felt like I needed another tight end, was too much. And so that concluded the draft. But one thing that did not conclude the draft was right here in this 5th round, if you just follow MJ Kyle 2 all the way down, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I traded my 5th round pick to move up to 108. And so once the Bucs went, and I've talked about this in my rookie show, my Mega Dynasty special. Once the Bucs defense went, I was looking at Van Jefferson. And I've had Van Jefferson's name in the back of my head all offseason. I have Van Jefferson, as I mentioned, as my 15th overall rookie, 1 spot behind CeeDee Lamb, 1 spot ahead of Jalen Reagor, 2 spots ahead of Michael Pittman. And Van Jefferson was being drafted. I think his ranking in this was like 65. So I knew there was a good chance that Van Jefferson was not going to be drafted. And what did I do? Let's pull this up. Hang on. I don't know what happened, but my whole system just went crazy. So what did I do? Actually, you're seeing some of the trades right here, which we're going to talk about in just a sec. I dropped Jack. Where is it? I'm sorry, it's right here. As soon as the draft ended, I had my button on Van Jefferson on the waiver wire, and I went boop, add. And like it's so funny because I have the recording. As soon as the draft ends, I just say, and the first free agent move has been made.
Hunter Renfrow. Jesus Christ.
And the first free agent move has been made. So Van Jefferson was my first undrafted free agent signing, and getting your 15th overall player after the draft ends makes me really, really happy. But I want to talk about some of these trades here. So this is the trade that ultimately went down for my team and Mark's team. It essentially, it's two different deals, but we just morph it into one. Jonnu Smith and Henry Ruggs for Justin Jefferson, a 2021 first round, and a 2021 fourth. Another trade that was completed, I don't know if maybe you saw that draft board, but Jalen Reagor fell to the third round. Jalen Reagor just suffered an injury today and is going to be out for 4 weeks. So we have a 2021 second and a 2021 fourth for Jalen Reagor. And then we just had a run here of drops like I've never seen before. I dropped Jack Doyle because I just wanted to kind of clear up some roster space. Obviously, bringing in Jonnu Smith to my team, there's no need for Jack Doyle. So we see Doyle gone. Then Latavius Murray, for some reason, gets dropped. So I'm highly considering scooping him up, just a viable running back. But this is where the run starts going. Look at some of these names. Mike Boone, the Browns defense. Laviska Shenault, a rookie who was just drafted. Andy Isabella and T. Higgins. Let's pull this down here. Where are we at? There we go. T. Higgins. Cincinnati second round draft pick. A draft pick that went at 206 is now on the waiver wire for some reason. And you're like, wait, what's going on? Chase Edmonds, who could be a backup to Kenyon Drake. And then this deal comes through. And I'm going to pull this up. This deal was monstrous. T.Y. Hilton, Robbie Anderson, Julian Edelman, Geronimo Allison, John Ross, Marquise Brown for Drew Brees, a 2021 first and a 2021 second. What? It was absolutely bonkers. Evan was still with me. If you guys watched the draft, you guys saw that I was just talking with Evan. And we were looking at each other like, T. Higgins is on the waiver wire? And we have $200 to spend for Fab. Low-key, I'm thinking about going chips all in. I have T. Higgins as my number 10 prospect overall. There is no way that T. Higgins is available right now. So that's something I'm highly considering. Another move is made. Blake Jarwin, so now Mark just has tons of roster space on his bench. Blake Jarwin gets picked up. The Colts defense, Justin Jackson, Adam Troutman. And then I look at the defenses on the waiver wire. I'm like, wait, Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey are on the waiver wire? I'll take the Rams defense. And also take the Chiefs defense as well because they have Tyrann Mathieu, Frank Clark, and a bunch of other really good pieces on that defense. So my defense is now set for the year. This is just some nickname stuff. But then another trade happened. All of these trades are happening literally within 20 minutes of each other. John trades David Montgomery, J.K. Dobbins, and a second-round pick for Alvin Kamara. Now, John's running back core now is utterly incredible. It is Zeke Elliott, Nick Chubb, Kamara, and I think one other player. I'm blanking on who this is. Hang on. Let me see. John. He also has Jordan Howard. I know that. Yeah. It's a pretty good set of running backs for him. And then we had another trade completed. And this was something that was really interesting. You can actually see here that this Anthony Miller for $1 trade was simply for $1 fab was simply just to see if we could go over our $2 limit if we are traded it. Our $200 budget, should I say. So then Kinsey gets on the phone with Shane and he makes this move. It's James White for Geronimo Allison, a 2023 first round draft pick, and $15 from Shane. Kinsey just wanted the fab. And so he drops Geronimo Allison immediately after. We rescinded the Anthony Miller trade just to see. I pick up Antonio Gandy-Golden, a wide receiver that I really love, who I believe has a really great opportunity in Washington to come in and be the number 2 receiving option for that team. So just getting him, he was another player like Van Jefferson, where as soon as the draft ended, I was looking at my roster, what moves I can make immediately, and just trying to secure some sort of plan for the future, just because the way that my team is set up right now, it's so on the fringe. And the fact that I did just trade my 2021 first round pick and my 2021 fourth round pick, I'm now down to just 3 draft picks next season, so it was really important for me to try and really just rebound as quick as possible. But I wasn't done yet. One of the things that was really pressing, I guess I'll say. Not even pressing, that's the wrong word. One of the things that was really intriguing, there we go, really intriguing all offseason was the idea of trading DK Metcalf. I love DK. I've said this time and time again. I love DK Metcalf. DeKalin Zacharias Metcalf. I love him. But one of the things that I was strongly recommending, I think I mentioned this in my preview show, or in my rookie show, I was considering trading DK for AJ Brown in 202 all offseason long. This was a deal that was initially conceived, in the middle of May, and we were both just, like, me and Evan, we were both just sitting on it, like, do we do this? I don't know. What's the outlook for each player? Because I ultimately see them, like, kind of along the same, like, tier. Like, they're both going to be wide receiver ones for this league. But DK's quarterback is better than Tannehill. But then, what does that draft pick get you? And so the fact that I was able to get my number 13 overall player, one of my favorite running backs in the draft, plus AJ Brown for DK Metcalf, an asset, a +1 gain in the asset territory. And now my running backs, I didn't have a first-round pick. Well, I did. I traded up to get a first-round pick. I traded away a lot of capital. And now, you're looking at my team right here on the side, and it's very simply the amount of rookies that I have and what I just did over the course of the past 3 hours, I feel puts me in such a better position going forward. I feel like I'm so comfortable because going into this offseason, my running back situation was very shaky with Aaron Jones, Chris Carson, Kerryon Johnson, and Adrian Peterson. Like, those were my guys. I have handcuffs for all of them. I had Jamal Williams and Rashad Penny last season, but it wasn't like, it's not like it's fun because, like, those guys are honestly just taking up roster space. So I didn't have a whole lot of flexibility at the running back position. But now, going into this season, I have Zack Moss, who's going to see work immediately in Buffalo, and like I said, was the player I was targeting. And I got A.J. Brown back in that deal. Keshawn Vaughn, yes, it's going to take a while. He might be a development piece, but he's going to be alongside a really good team and a really good offense. And Antonio Gibson, one of my favorite running backs in the draft. I basically just took it took one night to rebuild my entire running back core for the future, despite the fact that I don't have a first-round pick next season. And then we go even further with that. Henry Ruggs, my favorite player in this draft. Got him. I got my guy. Denzel Mims, number 1 option in New York for the future. Got my guy there. Van Jefferson, as soon as the draft ended, a top 15 prospect for me. Got him for free. Antonio Gandy Golden, I don't know where I have him ranked exactly. I have him ranked as 27, but honestly, like, there's a world, like, he was one of those guys where, like, 27 seems low, but to me, it's almost high, just because you look at how deep this draft class actually was between guys like Tua, just going down the list, right, like Lynn Bowden, A.J. Dillon, D.J. Dallas, LaMichael P. Ryan, Brian Edwards. This draft class was deep, and Antonio Gandy Golden has the opportunity to immediately come in and contribute for the Washington football team. And I got Jonnu Smith as well. So it took me one night, and I got 1, 2, 3. I have 7 rookies. 7 rookies that I absolutely love. 7 rookies inside my top 27. But even better than that, we're going to remove Antonio Gandy Golden from the equation. I got 6 rookies inside my top 18. That is ridiculous. I got my number 1 and number 2 wide receiver. I got, 1 and 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got my 6th and 7th running back. I got my 6th, 7th, and 8th running back this draft. I feel so good about where my team is at now because I don't really have to worry. Like, I lost 2 draft picks next year, sure. But what I was able to recover after that trade really made it worth it to me. I felt like I would put myself in a really good position to kind of hold water through this year, where losing that draft pick next year probably won't be a big deal. And then also T. Higgins is still in the fucking waiver wire. Like, don't get this wrong. If you're here, if you're watching this from my league, I'm telling you right now, I am putting all $200 of my fab into T. Higgins. I'm doing it. Because then I can get another player. T. Higgins is my number 10 prospect. I have T. Higgins over CeeDee Lamb. And one spot behind Jerry Jeudy. This was so lights out. Like, that's the thing. I'm really good. If I tilt, I'm really good at recovering from the tilt and then making up for the tilt. I did this last year in draft specifically. I forget what player. Was that my Cooper Kupp thing? I forget the context of it. But there was a situation very, very similarly to where I got sniped. I had to rebound. I had to recover. And then it was just like, all right, let's try and put this thing together. Like, what does this actually look like? So now going into next season, I guess this season, should I say, Lamar Jackson, Cam Newton are my quarterbacks. Aaron Jones, Chris Carson, Kerryon Johnson, Zack Moss, Keshawn Vaughn, Antonio Gibson, Adrian Peterson are my main running backs. My wide receivers, you want to talk about those? Juju Smith-Schuster, Calvin Ridley, A.J. Brown, Curtis Samuel, D.D. Westbrook, Henry Ruggs, Denzel Mims, Van Jefferson, Antonio Gandy-Golden. And my tight ends, Mark Andrews, Jonnu Smith. My kicker is Zane Gonzalez, and my defenses are the Los Angeles Rams and the Kansas City Chiefs. Two teams that, yes, play in two teams that play in great divisions, that have other teams that can put up points, but these two teams do have incredible defense. I think both of them were ranked inside the top 10 projections this season. And they both have stars on both sides of the ball. So these two teams are the complete package. Like Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, Tyrann Mathieu, Frank Clark, like I mentioned. I'm really excited for my Dynasty team moving forward. But that's the thing. This Dynasty team is competing with other juggernauts. I'm not going to get into some of the other teams, but just know there are some absolute Goliaths in this league. But for me right now, the big thing for me this offseason, and I really went back to it. I think I have it in this notebook. I want to see if I wrote this down. I did. Team needs. Running back. Congratulations. I just added 3 of them. And then wide receiver. Congrats. I just added 4 of them. Clean up roster space, which is one thing I'm going to do. And really just the big key for me this offseason was to just retool the roster. I wanted to find a way to add as many players that I felt confidence in as possible. And I did that. I went out and I executed this game plan perfectly. Did I tilt trade Justin Jefferson and a first round pick next year for Henry Ruggs? Yes, but Henry Ruggs, like I said, is my child. Did I maybe trade too much for Jonnu Smith? I don't know. Do you consider a 4th round pick in a rookie draft expensive for him? Because I don't. Like, to me, that felt like a good deal. And then you get Van Jefferson for free. Antonio Gandy-Golden for free. You trade DK Metcalf, but what do you bring back? Antonio. AJ fucking Brown and Zack Moss. I feel so good. My offseason, the past 4 months just paid off. Everything that I wanted to do. Now, listen. If I get T. Higgins and I'm working the phones trying to acquire more fab. If I get more fab, like, I will not lose T. Higgins. Because I think there's a chance that somebody actually puts in more than 200 because they acquired that additional fab in order to make that move. So that wouldn't shock me if that was the case. But that's going to do it for my Mega Dynasty special. Let's go back full screen here. This was so much fun. There was so much joy and just there was joy in tilting. And, we're in the middle of fantasy season. I guess we're not in the middle. We're in the early stages of fantasy season. But this is the point where everyone jumps back in. Everyone starts loving and projecting the things that they like and dislike about their teams. And fantasy football is back, man. That's it. Send the tweet. Fantasy football is back. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like and subscribe down below. We're doing this pretty much every single day. I really don't know what the schedule is going to look like after not only this mini-series, but also all 32, which wraps up, I think, tomorrow. Or I guess by the time you're probably watching this, it may have already wrapped up with the Las Vegas Raiders, where I get to gush and put hard eyes all around Henry Ruggs for about 20 minutes or so. I don't know what the plan's going to be like afterwards. I do know that I want to take a few days off. I got another draft in just a few days. Maybe that's already been completed by now. I don't know. I might talk about that team as well. But I really just want to enjoy these last like 3 days, mental reset, and then boom, we're going to go off and run into the races once again. So please stick around by subscribing. Leave a review on podcast if you're listening to it there, and leave a like on this video if you enjoyed. Once again, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. I'm out. Later.